That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a f***ing toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
Boom. Sometimes it may be good, and sometimes
my camera angle is weird. I was like, "Where's my hand? I don't know where it went." What's going on, man?
Not much, man. For the audience, welcome back to this week's episode of the OneCast. You got Pete and myself. Ben is under the weather. Not really sure what's going on. He's probably got a case of having the new puppy virus. Just kidding. We wish Ben well. Hope he gets better soon. We got a really cool guest for you guys tonight. Repeat offender. Love talking to him. He fishes a Bassmaster Elite series. We're going to bring him on here in just a second. But before we do that, head on over to those who support us the most, OneCast Fishing. Head on over to OneCastFishing.com. Use the code TheOneCast, all one word at checkout. Get your hands on all the snagless jigs, weedless nets, long neck hooks, soft plastics, and everything else that veteran-owned company has to offer. Also, while you're on your phone, most people order all their tackle on their phone. Download the Deep Dive app on your Play Store. Pay for the annual subscription. It's like $80 a year. Helps you guys break down bodies of water, understands all the different weather conditions, seasonal patterns, bait tool selection, and best area is the lake to start. They got some new imagery on there, so make sure you pay attention to that. Also, use that link we graciously provide you to head on over to Hobie Eyewear. You're going to save 15% on your order. Get your hands on all the different frames and lenses they have to offer. Our favorite are always the floating style frames. Never lose another pair of sunglasses. And make sure you stay tuned for Hobie because they're going to be launching some really cool products here in the near future. Pretty colorful stuff. Looking forward to that. Speaking of colorful stuff, North Carolina, man, the grass is growing beautifully. Lakes are popping. And that's going to make you want to move to Central North Carolina. In order to do that, you're going to want to hit up our good friend and bass fisherman himself, Terry Carpenter. You can reach him at carpenterT@hpw.com. He's a licensed real estate agent with Howard Perry Walson and Caldwell Bankers serving the North Carolina area. We love you, Uncle Terry. He'll get you in the home of your dreams. Finally, our great friends out of Indianapolis, Indiana, WAYMIRE Distribution has everything that you need boat trailer related. You can call them at 1-800-434-4824. They will take care of you. I promise. They've already taken care of a number of touring anglers, including myself, while we're on the road. Sent new hub kits, emergency trailer repair kits, everything that you need for your boat trailer. They're going to hook you guys up. Fourth generation family out of Indianapolis, Indiana. We love those guys. Met them at the Classic. Super proud to be partnered with them. So if you literally need anything, you call them. They got a customer service representative standing by. They'll walk you through the entire process. Pete, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I need to go.
I feel like
throw that hub kit in my truck before we leave tomorrow. So
yeah, throw that hub kit in. I just replaced mine. It was super simple. Sam Waymire. Also, we need to give him a shout out. He's a new daddy. Congratulations, Sam, and your lovely. I think it's his fiance. They just had a brand new baby, and so super happy for them. They're gonna continue that Waymire generation and hopefully continue bringing awesome boat trailer parts. I need to make that exclusive boat trailer parts to everybody here listening. So seriously, DM us, guys, if you got any questions. Obviously, call that 1-800 number that I just said. We know how much trailers are underrated and not given enough attention, and that's the only thing that gets your boat to and from the lake minus your vehicle, which I'm about to buy a new one here. Hopefully real soon. Pete and I were just talking about it with our great guest. About time to break down. Buy me a new truck. So,
yes, sir.
All right. What you
got,
ready?
Pete?
Let's bring him.
Let's bring him on. Let's bring him
on. There we go. What's up, man? Andrew Loberg, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. Thank you for coming back on with us, man. We know you're on Central Time.
Heck yeah. Yeah, thanks for having me on again, man. We've I think this is the third episode now that I've been on. It's always a blast hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, man, we love talking fishing. We need to get the whole crew one time when you guys are kind of consolidated, maybe not fishing a derb if you guys are hanging out and stuff. Get the whole house together. You guys seem like an absolute riot. You guys all run really cool like YouTube channels and stuff like that, and I know the audience appreciates getting the perspective from you guys because they just see what they see on TV or what is on a Bassmaster replay and stuff. Like, you don't get the personal touch that we get. So we try to bring that to them. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, no,
So,
I mean, it'd be fun to have all the other guys on. I room with Tucker Smith, Paul Marks, and Emil Wagner, and they're a hard crew to get together unless it's not a tournament. So, we're always out fishing, so it can be a little tricky sometimes.
I was gonna say, you guys, what do you think? Out of 365 days, how many days do you spend on the water?
It's for sure above 250, close to 300. I mean, it's quite a few days.
Yeah.
It's just nowadays, man, especially the last year or two, the last few years, it's one of those situations with LiveScope and fisheries getting a little tougher and new tactics changing and baits and all these different types of factors going into it. You got to be on the water, and a lot of these younger anglers and stuff, granted, the technology helps a little bit, but these guys are on the water, man. It's not like the older days where you're fishing on the weekend or, fishing here and there, going to a tournament and going back to the house. I mean, these dudes are on the water, in the crappiest conditions. I mean, these guys are grinding. So you got to be out there learning and, being in front of everything.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you there, man. Like, I did want to ask you, the phrase that everyone uses is you can't replace time on the water. But if you were to add to that statement, because time on the water could be a lot of things, right? One of the things I think about a lot that I have to work on myself, I know a lot of us who fish, both nationally, but also locally and regionally, is I could spend time on the water all the time, but I could be spending the wrong type of time on the water, if that makes sense. So in your opinion, for the audience and stuff, like, what is effective time on the water to you and what is like not?
Yeah, I mean, any time on the water is very effective, but I understand what you're saying, because you could definitely spend a few days on the water and be like, I didn't learn much, or I kind of feel like I wasted time doing this. But in my eyes, being on the water is, I always think of like when I'm just fun fishing, like today I just went out. I don't have a tournament at Guntersville for a while. Like, I don't really, I have nothing coming up here, especially on the Tennessee River, the whole chain itself. So in my eyes, or most people are like, well, why would you go out there? Or what's going on? But for me, it's learning and understanding what's going on with these fisheries right now. And I always kind of fish like I'm fishing, practicing for a tournament and understanding what's going on. Cause I want to always be on top of everything. And like, if there's a tournament tomorrow, I want to make sure I can go catch them. So I always have that like very competitive aspect in me. And that may just be like trying to figure out how to get a bite, not like, oh, I'm just going to go shoot for 5 big ones, just go fun fish and throw a big bait all day. There are times where I'd like to do that in the spring and just throw a big glide or a big wake bait or something like that. But most of the time I'm like hunting like how I would practice for a tournament, just because I'm so used to it and it's just kind of in my nature to go do that, nowadays. And then the other thing too is, especially with being on the water, is I try to fish, with some buddies and some friends and stuff like that out here and try to learn something. Tucker lives here, so him and I spend some time on the water together. And Hayden Marbit, my buddy Jed Lamb, who I fish tournaments with out here, he's a guide out here, so him and I are always fishing here or fishing other tournaments somewhere else. So, but yeah, just getting on that water and learning every day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Pete and I, we know, we haven't always had the opportunity to fish every day. And, Pete has a full-time job, so he doesn't get to fish every day. And so every time we go out there, it's an opportunity to learn something. I know, kind of feeding into that, like one of the things I think a lot of people, when you're trying to get better on the water, and it doesn't matter if it's at the lake 5 minutes down the road from you or you're driving a few hours, I think a lot of times what I tend to do, which is not good, is I'll run as much history as I can on, say, like a local body of water. And I won't because I know I'm going to catch fish. And I think one of the things that we need to do as anglers is challenge ourselves from getting out to get outside of that box, right? And say, all right, let me go fish brand new water on a lake that I may have fished 8,000 times, but let me go do it and expect to maybe not get a bite, but learn something from that, right? Because you are learning when you're not catching fish. It sucks, but you're learning what not to do, where not to do it, all that kind of stuff. So I think when people say like there's, that phrase is so true. Like you can't replace time on the water, but you can enhance your time on the water for sure. And I think that's what you guys do, man. Like you're out there. And so even when it's like practicing going fun fishing, you're actually simulating a tournament. And Pete and I have done that before, and it's actually really effective for time management, fish management, changing conditions and stuff like that. So,
you're basically adapting. You're basically conditioning yourself to find fish faster each time you go out, and understanding the conditions when you launch that boat, instead of fishing history, because if you fish a lake all your life and know a bunch of stuff and you only fish, once every couple of weeks, you're going to go to those same holes, whether they're there or not. But if you're able to get on the water a little bit more and understand why they're there, and pattern it elsewhere, that's kind of where you become deadly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't think of how many times I've heard myself, or it happened today, my buddies be like, man, they should be here, but then they fail to adjust because they've been on that body of water before, but they don't adjust. It's like, well, they should be here because they've been here the last 5 years. And it's like, well, they're not. So what are you going to do now? You know what I mean? Yep. So, but for you, especially on the Elite Series, you live on Gunnersville or right next to Gunnersville, however that looks. Even though that fishery is vastly different than, let's say, a place that you just went to, right? Santee, or where you're going to, the tank, which you can't talk about, or we can't talk about, but they're vastly different fisheries. I mean, vastly, right? But do you see conditions on like Gunnersville that play into you making the right adjustments when on any other body of water, minus maybe a smallmouth fishery?
Yeah, especially in the Southeast, you can base a lot of what you're going to be doing off of water temperature mainly, and in your map and what's going on. So right now, a lot of the stuff is going to be post spawn. There's still some brim bed stuff going on. Just because the water is almost 80. So just based off of that, just the basic knowledge of bass fishing of what's going on. There's definitely some patterns. So now, like when I go to the Pasco tank or before, like at Santee, or go to a new lake, maybe the water's a lot cooler, then I know like, hey, well, let's rewind here. What just happened a few weeks ago here, and kind of piece it that way. So just based off water temp, different conditions that way. Yeah, you definitely can, pattern them for sure off of what you've been doing. Gunnersville.
Pete, I'm going to steal the show if you don't say anything, so I'm going to give it to you if you have anything for Andrew, because if you don't, I'm going to roll.
No, I think, a question we get a lot, and I think it's a good question to ask is, when you go to a fishery that you don't have a lot of experience on, you may have only been to a time or two, and fish is a little different than a lot of other places you may have been. And I'm being general on purpose. I'm thinking of the next place you guys are heading. How much does like looking at local tournament results and local like YouTube videos and that kind of public information play into your study? Because I know like for me, I don't really go down that path, but I do a lot of map study, and I may read a little bit about like, what the local guy in the last tournament that dropped a bag, he might have put somewhere what he was doing, and kind of keep that in the back of my head. But is that something that plays into kind of how you prepare for a body of water? It is a little bit different than a lot of the other places that you fish.
Yeah. I try not to get hung up too much on tournament results. They are definitely helpful, only because you can kind of get an understanding of like, all right, is a 3-pounder a good one? Is a 4-pounder a good one? Or do I need 6s? That type of thing. So yeah, that in that aspect, tournament results are a major thing that a lot of people look at in previous years. What I've learned on the Elite Series is typically, like, we've been to most of these lakes as it is, so we kind of understand. Besides the past bank, last year was obviously our first time there, but in a lot of other assets, we kind of understand what weights may be. And on the Elite series, it's just insane how good these guys are. You have to basically maximize like your local tournament winner. Like that weight is going to be like throughout the top 20. It's just insane.
Yeah.
These guys just, you know what I mean? LiveScope or not. So it's like tournament results are great, but like if a guy in a local tournament finishes 8th with like 15 pounds and they won with 22, like 15 pounds that might be a top 50 for the Elite series, which is kind of wild to think. So like you want to look at those like top 3 results just to kind of see like an average or what you need to be catching in practice going into that tournament. But yeah, like when I'm prepping for a tournament, I want to know, the species of bass, obviously, the average size, and what type of condition they're in, whether it be pre-spawn, spawn, or post-spawn, and then just attack it from there.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that was a great question, Pete, because that actually feeds into exactly what something else I was going to ask Andrew is like, you hear it all the time. Practice winners, right? I always win practice, right? So you have your tournament prep before you even get to that body of water, which is your open source information, your tournament results, even what the fish look like, right? Like how they visually look, like from their tails and their guts and the color of the fish and stuff. Sometimes that can be deceiving. But then when you get there, all right, so for instance, let's talk Santee. Erase the tournament result itself, but let's talk about practice in general. Like that is one of the biggest things that people, myself included, I'm continuing to get better at it. Right. And a lot of people talk about like practice is the most important part of a big part of the tournament. How do you practice? Like are you practicing more behind the steering wheel and graphing? Or are you practicing fishing? Or like, how do you go about like having the perfect practice? No such thing exists, but if there was one.
Yeah. So I try to get a really basic understanding of the lake itself. Like Santee's a little bit of an outlier because there's 2 giant lakes, you know what I mean? And I kind of just picked one lake to practice in. So let's just say, like for that tournament, for me, I picked Marion. That was my lake to practice in. That was my tournament lake. I chose that one. And for a lake like that, I needed, just based off of how that lake sets up, it being more of a natural lake, fish kind of group up in areas. You can kind of get into a zone and kind of fish around and find them. And it's not really, it is, but it's not. Compared to some other lakes that we've gone to, it's not like a pattern type deal where I can just go buzz around the entire lake and catch them. Like you kind of almost have to find a home or two. Like you just find a couple areas and you milk it for all it's worth, and they're reloading, and you just go there into those same areas, and there's just more and more fish coming to you. And that's kind of how I practiced that tournament. So I found my home. I found those areas that I wanted to stay in. And you get a bite or 2 here and there. You kind of move around, and I'm not talking like one little spot, like one point. I'm talking like a 2 or 3 mile area where there's grass, a spawning bay, some sort of region where there's going to be a mass population of fish for Santee, and that's kind of what I found. And that's kind of how I approach that lake. Now, other lakes may be where if we go to like a reservoir, like say Murray, for example. Murray was a situation, there was a herring spawn, and I wanted to find as many spots as I could that had a herring spawn going on. I needed to find 50 to 100 groups of fish. I mean, that's just all there was to it. So I ran the entire lake based off of that one pattern, because I knew that was going to be the deal throughout the entire week. Not just that first day of practice, not just that second day of practice. I'm looking for fish that'll get me all the way through Sunday. So once I found that, whether that be a general area or I could pattern it through the whole lake, then that's where I'd go run it. So like, for instance, day 1 of practice at Murray, I whip up, fish 20 points, not get bit, and then I go to the next one, I get bit, or if you see a group of fish, okay, cool. Mentally take a note what that point looked like, what region of the lake I'm in, dissect that region, find some more fish, and then go to another part of the lake and see what they're at. Because on a reservoir, you may have water temperatures up the lake at 70, and then down by the dam it might be 74. So there may be some different zones that are firing before, sooner than later. There might be fish further along down the lake than there are up the lake. So that's kind of what you got. What I look for. But on it, specifically in that tournament, they were kind of doing it everywhere, and you just had to find as many as you could.
Yeah, I guess it does differ, right? Like a place like Santee, Florida strain style bass in there, a lot of vegetation and stuff. And in Murray, you got blueback herring eaters and stuff. And so they're vastly different. But on average, would you say majority of your time practicing is throwing a bait trying to get bit, or is it doing more running around? And just
it's more running around for me. Yeah. I try not to spread myself out too crazy much, depending on the lake. But then again, I want to sample everything. Depending on the time of year, I want to sample what's going on throughout the lake, so I don't want to miss anything. And in a lot of cases too, I may go to something day one of practice, not get bit, but by day 2 of the tournament, 3 or 4 days later, something triggered in my head. I'm like, dude, I gotta go check that again. And bang, there they are. They showed up, or like that's what's happening. The fish moved there. And to do well in a tournament, you want fish going to you, and that's an elite series, a high level tournament, any tournament. You want fish going to you and you fish naturally, because once you start kind of fishing how you fish in practice, and you're trying to do too many things, it can get a little wonky and you can get a little spun out.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean, Pete and I, we know, you'll have the entire arsenal of tackle in the boat, but really at the end of the day, like if you have too many options, then you can spin out and stuff like that. And you just ruin the tournament because your foot's on the gas, both with different types of baits and legitimately on the boat gas. And you're just running around or throwing different baits and just, you're not confident in anything. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges in competitive bass fishing is like confidence, man. Like you just got to be confident. Right. And so you've had a phenomenal year. I think you've only missed one cut this year.
Yeah, it was just this last one at Santee. Yeah, that one got me back.
So let's. What was it about from last year? And I don't know how you finished last year, but has there been a drastic change in your style of fishing, your style of practice, your confidence, anything that has translated from last year to this year, especially being where you're at in the points right now?
I kind of towards the later half of last year, because I made the Classic, which was good. At the beginning of the year, I had no chance. I thought I was going to make the Classic, but I had a really strong second half of the season. But I kind of just based off that last half, and even this part of the season, or this year, of just fishing my strengths and being comfortable and doing my own thing. You can get so caught up and especially with fishing against, the best of the best and guys that you idolize your whole life, like a Polinick or a Swindle and, Hackney. You see these guys and you're like, I need to be doing what they're doing. Like, I got to go catch them that way. Like, I got to try to beat them. And it's not about beating them. It's about beating the fish. And if you do what you, like we talk about all the time in previous episodes, if you do what you're most confident in, you're going to have your best tournament. So I think just doing me this last year and a half or so has definitely helped. And then also, being on the water more often for me this year has definitely helped. And just understanding, more high level tournament stuff has definitely helped. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've had a really good year. This last one, I kind of stubbed my toe a little bit. I got a little stubborn on kind of the area I was in, just kind of left. But that was kind of, this last tournament was an eye opener of what I shouldn't be doing, which is good because I kind of know now, to go get back on track to what I was doing prior.
Was this your first classic you fished this year?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because I was a rookie last year and qualified.
Yep. So what? I mean, just you can breeze through it, but I mean, man, that had to be obviously a very special moment in your career. First Bassmaster Classic, like coming off your rookie year. Like, what was that whole experience like for you?
Yeah, man, it was really special. I mean, everybody obviously wants to qualify for the Bassmaster Classic. It's like the pinnacle in the sport. It's what everybody dreams of, is walking across that classic stage. And, I barely got in last year, which is cool. Me and all my roommates, we made it all together, all 4 of us, which is kind of rare. So it was a really cool experience going into it. And then once it kind of hit, it kind of flew by, because it's literally the busiest week of your entire life. There's so many different things going on with sponsors, and media and practicing. And, we practice like 3 days prior to the tournament even starting. So it's like you practice a week out, and then you have all these media days, and you're like, well, let's hope they're still there. You got to really be on your toes. It was cool, man. I had a bunch of family fly out from California, a bunch of friends fly out from California, into Knoxville, Tennessee. And it was pretty special, man. All the hard work that I've been through in the last handful of years just to make it to this level kind of all came to fruition right there at the Classic, and was able to sneak into the cut, made the third day. And it was really special, man. It was a really cool event. And, it's one of those deals where you fish it and you're like, wow, I got to make it every year. It's something that you want to be a part of every year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, Pete and I were there. Pete was there on behalf of the podcast, and I was there for a title sponsor. But you can definitely see the difference in, the guys that are actually fishing the Classic and then having to work the Classic, right? Like it just sucks for those, and I get it, right? But only so many can play the game, and you got to play that game this year. What was something that, I mean, obviously you hear everybody talk about how exhausting it actually is, even leading up to the tournament, like you talked about. But was there anything that was like that just caught your eye, or you didn't expect about the Classic, like, and maybe not the fishing aspect of it, but just the Classic in general, that you're like, holy crap, this is way bigger than I imagined, or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, the fans and stuff. I think Knoxville, I believe in years past, it's been one of the biggest crowds, and now it was insane, man. It was it was a lot to take in, seeing that many fishing fans all in one area is like, geez, this is insane. But it's a whole different tournament, man. It's you're not really shooting for points. There's nothing involved in the tournament besides winning. So your practice is a lot different. You're targeting different fish in a sense. You have to have a little bit more open mind because of the practice days and how far out they are from the actual tournament. But outside of that, there really wasn't. It was still a bass tournament. You know what I mean? We still launched. We still ripped out of there. The other thing, too, which made it kind of unique, was there's only 58 guys, 58 boats out there. So It was a lot smaller field. You have way more water to work with, way more community areas to work with. So it set up a lot different style of tournament, but, we all kind of knew going in how to adjust for it. So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, when we were there, obviously we were a part of that crappy weather that moved in hardcore, especially driving over the mountain. Some of our guys got caught in snow and all that stuff. But knowing that that was our second time at the Classic in Knoxville. We were there last time when Gussie won that, and man, Knoxville really does have like one of the coolest venues. I mean, just because of the proximity of everything, right? And so, I mean, we're looking forward. I mean, we will, if I get stupid enough to, win Lake Erie for the opens, maybe I'll see you there, but
heck yeah,
I'm going to see you there regardless, because it's at Hartwell next year, and we're super pumped for that one.
Yeah.
It's at Hartwell, right? Am I accurate on that? Oh man, that's going to be a fun time.
That'd be cool. Yep.
Yeah. So that sets up, I mean, all these lakes, I mean, you're kind of a master of it all now. but being in, this being your second season on the Elites, what do you think is like one of the, we're going to get to this bait that everyone wants to hear about, but from fishing in general, like what have you really started or what have you really strengthened that you just kind of never did before? Like, for instance, I brought a buddy up here. He's not a drop shot guy. He's from Florida. He doesn't fish a drop shot, right? Took him out, fish drop shot, kind of got him comfortable on how to do everything for the most part at a novice level, I would say. But for you being from Cali and, being a big bait guy, but also being finesse and stuff like that, what is something that you really always have tied on that you never really had tied on before that you're very confident in now?
I'd say
shaky.
Yeah, I'd say something like some sort of finesse, like a Nico or a minnow or something like that. Obviously, the coike has been a big player in the last year or so for me. That type of urchin style bait, but more finesse tactics in my eyes have been a lot in my arsenal the last year or so. Only because these fisheries and stuff are getting a little bit tougher. And not only that, for me to generate bites, whether that be the first day of practice or whatever it may be, just to get bites to understand size of fish and where fish are, is huge. Like just to have confidence, be like, I think there's going to be fish on that point. I'm going to whip over there. Instead of just hucking a big jig out or hucking a big swim bait out, I'm going to be like, no, I want to go see if there's a bass over here. And I can throw a drop shot, a Senko, or whatever it may be, and go catch them, and then kind of pattern it that way and use different baits to go catch fish elsewhere. But mostly, finesse tactics have definitely been in my arsenal a lot more. I
mean, we all throw minnows and big baits and everything else, but I will tell you, and I don't know if it's like this on the Elite Series, but everyone thinks everyone's just throwing like last year, right? Like the minnow was the thing, or the last couple of years, the minnow. But how much did the minnow really play versus like a drop shot? Truthfully, like, because I know you get a lot of fish coming off structure or whatever, but a lot of times everyone just thinks it's a minnow. But in my experience, I get more fish eating a drop shot than I do a minnow. I don't know,
totally.
but it depends on if they're feeding up or feeding down. But is it really what TV shows the audience, or is it like, no, you got to understand, like there's an arsenal of baits on the front deck, and it's not just always like the minnow.
No, there's definitely an arsenal of baits, and the minnow is just another tool like a drop shot would be. You know what I mean? It's just a staple. It's a staple bait that's going to be on everybody's deck for the rest of our lives. If there's a bait fish in the lake, the minnow will be tied on no matter what. That's just what it is, and people are understanding that with how many different variations of the minnow there are, sizes, weight sizes of jig heads, colors, things like that. It'll always be, on the deck of the boat. And that's one thing I've learned with the minnow is how versatile it actually is. And, not just targeting open water fish, but structure, brush, grass, whatever it may be. If there's bait fish around, they'll eat it.
Well, now there, you got a huge tackle box in your boat, but now you got an even bigger one, because now we got this. It's been out for a few years now. I got it when it first came out and caught some fish on it. I think I was throwing like a 13 millimeter one, so a little bit smaller one, but the urchin bait is the new minnow, is the new Alabama rig, is the new bladed jig. What is this bait for the audience? Describe like why this thing, if you can, because I don't understand it, but it gets bit. What is it? What's it all about?
I don't know, man. I've heard so many different stories behind.
Yeah, there's like 300 different theories out there.
Yeah, there's so many different theories. The craziest one, which I kind of believe a little bit, but maybe not, is when a bass is spawned, like when a bass is born, a little fry. It's when it feeds on the phytoplankton and that type of thing. If you look up a picture of a phytoplankton, different varieties of it, they literally look like a coike.
Yeah.
Some of them. And I've heard they have it like ingrained, like engraved in their head that's what it is.
Okay.
of what
I just heard that one, I think, today for the first time.
Yeah. So, and
So-
that, you know, there may be something to it. There may be something to it, but I think the biggest thing with the coike is the rate of fall and how you can move it, and that's the biggest thing. I think it's the new age Senko. There's so, I mean, when the Senko came out, I'm sure people are like, "What? It looks like a cigar. It looks like, I mean, what's going on with it?" People are probably like, "This is the craziest thing in the world." But I'll tell you what, you throw it out there and let it sink, bass is going to bite. Exactly. There's different ways to rig it. It's the new age Senko, and it's here to stay. But I think the biggest thing is the rate of fall and how it moves through the water, and what water displacement it has on it for the fish. Because if you look at a lot of high level swim baits and other baits, it's all rate of fall and how, you know, quickly it falls or whatever it may be.
So it's the Sasquatch of phytoplankton. So when these bass see it, they're like, "Oh my gosh, this
I remember
is the biggest one this is the biggest one I've ever seen. I've got to eat this thing." You know, there's a lot of different manufacturers out there. You know, you got the prickly pears, you got the full cast.
Everyone's making them now. You go on Facebook, everyone's in their garage. Everyone's making them.
Yeah. So for you, and whether you got a sponsor or not, what is your, and there's different sizes, right? So are you an owner of all the sizes?
Yeah, I got a bunch of different sizes. You know, I work with G-Rat Baits. They're my title sponsor, and they came out with one called the Weber earlier this year, a while ago. It's like the 13 millimeter size. And then we've just come out with a newer version. It'd be like a 17 to, it's probably like a 19 to 20 millimeter, not this full cast size, but a little bit smaller, called the Papa Web. And we designed it, and it's pretty badass. But I like to have a different array of sizes and colors. If I'm targeting mainly largemouth, I try to go as big as I can. If it's spotted bass smallmouth, I'll go a little bit smaller, that 13 to 17 millimeter size. Just depends on the water. So for the audience, the big ones, the full size ones, how do you go about rigging that? Because there's about 900 different ways that people are rigging these things. What is your standard go-to method? Man, I've done a lot of different rigging methods. For the bigger one, I've mainly thrown the treble hook, whether a treble hook or a decoy. The quad hook is what I mainly throw. It's a 1/0 quad hook, and then I put a split ring and a barrel swivel on it for line twist, and then I'll snap a grenade weight on it. Some people put the weight in the bait itself. I'm too cheap, and I like to have the weight outside of the bait because when they come off, I can just go pick them up. They're float on top of the surface. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Anything smaller than like that full cast, anything smaller than like a 20 millimeter size, I'll put a single hook on it. For some reason, that single hook, like a talisman, like a 3/0 or a 4/0, hookup ratio is good, but the treble hook gets a little scary just because of the tongue hooking, getting them in the gills or something like that in the tournament. It doesn't happen a ton, but I've seen it a handful of times where they bite it weird and you'll get them in the tongue or get them in a gill, and it's just not good. But if you're throwing that full cast, that bigger bait, typically, you know, you're fishing for 2 to 4 or 5 plus pound fish. Right. And a lot of times they don't get it in the tongue, but they sometimes will. I haven't found a hook, like a big hook for a full cast that I really love, you know, as of now. I'm sure there's going to be one that I'll like soon, but you know, I've thrown like a 3/0 flipping hook in them and that works, but that treble hook is kind of the deal.
Yeah. I mean, we you know, Pete and we got our hands on, I think Pete's got about 900 different ones now. And I think I got 8 that just came in the mail today.
I don't know about 900, 40,
no, not 900, like 700. but everyone does the same thing, right? You kind of tinker around with the baits, you see what you like and stuff like that. For me, I like to rig the bigger ones on a bait caster, like a 7-3 medium heavy, like worm jig rod, and like 20-pound test on there. But for the small ones, I might throw that on a spinning rod, right?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Like a 12-pound leader to some 20-pound braid or whatever. For you, are you going straight casting rod, or are you going both?
I do both. Yeah, on the full cast, so those bigger ones, I throw a bait caster, and the smaller ones, I use a spinning rod.
Okay.
Sure. Yep.
So for the audience, I mean, you got all the different colors and stuff like that. If for the audience trying to get your hands on some, I know it's tough. You can get them. It's tough to get certain brands and stuff like that. But if you were to recommend one color and one size for the audience, what is that color and size for like a beginner level at the urchin style?
Yeah,
bait?
so like a 17 millimeter size, like just the regular G-Rat Weber or a 17 millimeter coike. Just throwing a spinning rod is going to be your best bet for anywhere you go, whether that be spots, smallies, largemouth, and some sort of natural color, like a green pumpkin works in dirtier water and gin clear water. Like a watermelon works really good. I would stick with your more natural colors. I do throw like clear type colors as well, depending on where I'm at. But most of the time, it's like a natural green or scuppernong or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know I definitely want to talk about the Surge Squad, but I'm gonna ask about the Surge Squad, and then we can go into how that became. You hear a lot of anglers. I'm guilty of this. When certain baits come out, I'm not throwing that stupid thing, right? Or that's ridiculous, or nothing can replace the jig, or whatever. Are you guys like that, or you guys embrace every piece of new bait and technology that comes out? Or do you ever find yourself being like, I'm not throwing that thing?
No, we throw everything, man. Whatever we can find, we throw it. I mean, it doesn't matter. We want to find the next thing, because we've had the coike for a long time. We've been using it, but it's just blown up now to where we still use it. I mean, it's still obviously a tool in our system, but we want to find the next thing, and that's kind of our hunt.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of had this happen. We talked about this, years ago. It has been years ago now, a couple years ago, when scope got real like dominant, or at least it was dominating because people understood how to utilize it, especially gained a serious competitive advantage over those who just were like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to embrace the technology, whatever. No names, but how much, in your opinion, especially as the young anglers obviously are killing it, and the OGs are too, but how many, in your opinion, do you see a shift in maybe some of the very seasoned and veteran anglers saying, okay, now I need to start adapting a little bit more, be a little bit more optimistic here?
Not so much. No, I mean, there's definitely still some guys on tour on the Elite Series that don't even utilize LiveScope. I mean, look at John Cox or like a Hackney. You know what I mean? Greg Hackney. He knows how to LiveScope and he does it, but he's made his career off of what he does, and he still whoops everybody's butt doing it.
Yeah.
But there are you definitely see a lot more guys being way more versatile with LiveScope and understanding what baits to use when, and that's kind of the kicker. If you can kind of dabble in both, that's where you see a lot of guys doing really well.
Yeah. I mean, we always said it, Pete, it was like adapt or not.
Adapt or die.
Adapt or die, right? Like one of the things him and I mean, we'll tell you right offhand, like how much money have we lost to people throwing what? Carolina rigs, dude. And I don't care where you're at. It is one of the most effective baits or rigs to absolutely use. And we've gotten a lot better at it, but I would say, like, no matter if it's technology encompasses everything, So whether or not it's electronics or it's baits or whatever, there's a reason why we have coike style baits in our arsenal now, because like we know, right? Like even fishing against these guys that win all the money on like Bugs Island, right? Like if you go to Bugs Island, a 55,000 acre reservoir, and you're fishing against like some of the local hammers, like, dude, you got to have a competitive advantage and that could be a coike style ball, right? So that there are certain anglers that can do it their way and still do really well. But for me, I look at it like I can do it my way until I can't do it my way. And then I better adapt, or I better get out of the way for the next guy, because he's coming. Right. So, but you guys have done a great job. I mean, your household is super strong. You guys are dominant. You all made the classic for 2026, and you guys are all most likely going to make the classic, hopefully, for 2027.
Hope so.
But the household is the Surge Squad.
Yep.
What is that? How did that happen?
Yeah, man. So for those that don't know, like I said earlier, it's myself, Tucker Smith, Paul Marks, and Emil Wagner. We all travel together on the Elite Series. We started rooming together last year's a rookie year. We all qualified through the Opens together. And I traveled with Emil Wagner during the Opens, and Paul and Tucker traveled together on the Opens. And towards like the later half of the season, we kind of points were up, and we kind of started to know who each other were. We got a little closer, and by the end of the season, we made the Elites. We're like, dude, us four, we're doing it. We're rooming together. Let's rip this thing. So last year, we started to have some good momentum. The house with four of us, there's going to be somebody doing well on a tournament, so which is cool. But we all started doing really well, and people started noticing us, and just as a group, because we post videos and stupid stuff, and people love it. And Paul kind of came up with the name Surge in a sense. We all kind of kept saying it, but he kind of kept bringing it up more and more, not like as a group, like, hey, we're the Surge Squad, but he just kept saying, like, we all just kept saying, like, we need a surge, or like, we need to, like, if we got back to the house and say Emil whacked him, Paul would be like, dude, you surged. That was sick. Or like, if I didn't do well, he's like, dude, you got to surge tomorrow. Let's do it. And then you do it, and you're like, dude, you surged. Like, it was just like a word that we just kept saying because we're kind of idiots. So Dave Mercer, kind of got close to us. We're going on stage and whatever else, and he kind of caught on to that. And he's like, you guys are going to be called the Surge Squad. And we're like, what? So it was during I think it was like during Blast Off, like on one of the tournaments, as we were going out, all four of us, he would like say, hey, Andrew Loberg, or whatever, part of the Surge Squad. And we're like, what? And it kind of just stuck, Paul won that tournament on Hartwell last year, and he kind of promoted it then, and then Tucker won, and it was kind of, a staple name to our little house. So kind of just stuck, and we're like, sweet, we got a name.
And you guys got merch?
We do have merch. We're trying to drop some new stuff here pretty soon. We still have like some classic tees and hoodies and stuff on our website, thesurgesquad.com. But yeah, we got merch, shirts, hats, sweatshirts. Well,
you got to give it to Mercer, man. I don't. It's hard for me to see any other MC out there that does it better at, creating like nicknames and phrases and one line, all these things. Like, A, it probably helps him remember, right?
Oh,
and
totally.
B, like, it's extremely entertaining for the audience and stuff like that. But what I think is great, and you see a lot of anglers do this, it's not a cheap sport. So you can take an opportunity like Dave Mercer gave you, where he called you the Surge Squad, even though Paul talked about surging, and you're like, dude, let's make some money off this. Yep. Let's sell this, right? You know what I mean? So every opportunity, all these little things, they create opportunities. And so, because I was like, wait a minute, are they sponsored by, is Surge still a soda? Like, is that still a thing?
I know.
If it is, and Surge, you're listening to this, well, you got one of the Surge Squad guys. You're here.
Exactly. No, it's been awesome, man. All the support we've seen, some people We've seen even other elite anglers and stuff. They all dig it. There's no hate on any of it. Because once you kind of like put a name to yourself, you almost kind of do a double take. Like, is this kind of like a weird, too much flaunting and too much stuff? But no, it's just we're just a bunch of dudes that like to go fish, and it's all fun. And Pat Renwick too, he's a big part of it as well. He helped kind of spread the surge, and he's one of the good dudes as well that helps us out.
That's awesome, man. So you guys traveling this year? Are you guys all like bringing does everybody have significant others and stuff that's traveling with them, or is it just the dudes rolling solo with you?
So we'll have like a girlfriend or two at a house. Not all, like sometimes all the girls will be there and sometimes not. Just depends. But with 4 guys, like 4 trucks and boats at a house, we typically get a little bit bigger house than normal. Which is good. And plus we have 2 other camera guys. So it always works out. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, we've talked to, obviously we got a lot of buddies that are on the Elite Series or travel nationally and stuff. And a lot of them bring their wives and stuff. They've been doing it for years. But for any of the girlfriends or fiancés, whatever, did they have any of them said to you, I didn't realize how serious this fishing thing was?
Yeah, no, it's they kind of get it. I think as soon as especially with my girlfriend, we've been dating for a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we first met, she kind of understood the wrap truck and boat. I get it. It's a pretty big deal in your life. And then you go to a tournament and you're like, wow, this is kind of your deal. And that's kind of how it is for, everybody else. They kind of see it pretty quick and be like, yeah, this is it.
Last question I have about the house, and then I'll turn it over to Pete. When somebody does really bad out of the 4 of you guys, say, for instance, who had the worst finish at Santee? Was it you?
I did, yep.
Okay, so what does that look like as a household? Does the energy change when, say, 3 of the 4 do really well and 1 just sucks it up, or what? How does having those roommates really help you in a situation where you've dude, I can't figure anything out, or I just suck?
Yeah, no, that's the biggest thing with having these guys with me, and being around, the other 3 guys is everyone's very supportive with each other, whether you do good or bad. It's there's no you suck, or I'm not going to listen anymore, or whatever it may be. It's everything's all motivational and everything's all good, Tucker, he top 10 that event, and Paul, myself, and Emil, we all missed the cut. You know what I mean? So there was not one moment in time where I'm looking at Tucker dude, what the heck? What's going on? Why didn't I make the top 10, or why didn't I make a top 50 cut? It was dude, go get him. Go win the freaking tournament. And that's all 4 of us are. So there's everything's, we all know what we're doing. We all know how we're going to do it in the tournament. And if somebody does good, great. If not, let's go to the next one. We're all hungry. We got a good buddy who, and I won't name names, but sometimes anglers go into tournaments. There's a difference in having manageable expectations and the mismanaged expectations, where it's I should win this, right? Having a win attitude, 100%. You should totally strive to have a win attitude. But do you ever see it, and maybe not with your roommates, but in general, you ever see anglers have really mismanaged expectations where it just ruins their tournament, or maybe their season, or maybe their career, where there's totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. If you look too far into a tournament or into the season, it could screw up your entire year, because I've had those thoughts before where I'm dude, I'm going to crush them this year. I'm going to crush them these next couple tournaments. This is my wheelhouse. And then it all crumbles. The way I look at it is just taking everything you can and just take it day by day. That you get, especially when I have a little break, right now, I try to keep myself busy and be on the water as much as I can, just not think about anything. because I try to put myself in that moment. Like Ike Anelli always says, fish the moment. And he's so true about that. Because if you get too ahead of yourself and too far into what's you think might happen, it can screw up your whole tournament, you know, that event. Like our next one's at the Pasco Tank. I've had times like these last few days I wasn't on the water. Like I wasn't on the water today, but the last few days with my girlfriend, I'm fishing, but all I could think about was the Pasco Tank. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, I want to crush them. I want to catch them. And then you get caught up, like, how am I going to do it? What am I going to do? This, that, and the other. And then you're like, dude, it's like a couple weeks away. Don't even think about it.
You're not even there yet.
Yeah, who cares? You're not even there. You know, enjoy the time. And that's when you start fishing good. Go do your thing. Take it day by day. And that's and that was my mindset during the opens. And I obviously made the elites and I did good, but that was my entire mindset throughout the entire season was like, dude, it's a grueling year. 9 opens, so many days, 5 practice days. You have so much time on the water throughout the entire year, and 1 or 2 days could literally ruin your year. And I just told myself, dude, 1 day at a time. If you can just dominate every day, just 1 day at a time, you'll do it. You'll make it.
Yeah. No, that's a good piece of advice for anybody, either fishing the opens, fishing in general. You know, keep an open mind, and it's almost like fishing 1 day individual tournaments, right? Like, obviously you got to manage fish over multiple days and stuff like that. But, you know, if you ever feel like quitting, like, don't, unless it truly is a hindrance on your finances or your family or whatever. Like, we know too many anglers that are stellar, way better than we are, for sure. And I've seen some attitude shifts and stuff. And so I just wanted to ask you about that, like, you know, managed expectations versus mismanaged ones. And I think it's really important. And mindset is everything, confidence, all that stuff, right? You can talk about being positive all day long, but that briefs well. But if you don't know how to do it, then it doesn't matter at that point. So what is the last thing? What is the biggest thing you've sacrificed? This is it. This is for me. What is the biggest thing you've sacrificed in your life since joining the Bassmaster Elite Series?
For me, it's moving away from my family, man. Moving from California to Alabama has been huge. It's you don't really think about it, but that was probably the biggest sacrifice I've had to make throughout my entire career, is being that far away from my parents and family and friends. I mean, I made my own decision to do it because this is what I want to do for a living, and this is like my passion and what I want to pursue. But it was definitely hard, and it was not easy, you know. It gets a little brutal, you know. You go to these elite tournaments and you see everybody's parents and family and friends and stuff like that. And I've made tremendous amount of friends out here. Don't get me wrong. I've got people in Alabama and all over the country that I can call family, and it's helped me through a lot of tough times. But not having your parents or, you know, people that are really close to you out here is definitely tough.
For sure. Peter?
No, I mean, you asked every question that I was thinking about. You just keep rolling. So I don't want to interrupt you when you get on a roll. But I always have similar like thought processes on things, so I'm just like,
well, you know, I'm not interrogating, so that's a good thing.
True.
And trust me, these are not scripted. The audience knows that we get as real as it comes, you know, and that's why I want to ask these types of questions. I think, you know, we've had a lot of bass tournament anglers on here. We've had a lot of people in the industry on here. Everyone, you know, there's sacrifices all around and stuff, but you know, the youth movement in competitive bass fishing is strong. It doesn't seem like it's slowing down whatsoever. You know, there's a lot of dreams that sometimes turn into nightmares, even though they're still dreams for these young guys and stuff. I mean, I'm fishing the opens, but I sucked so far this year, and it's awesome. I loved every minute of it. It's been brutal. And, but I'm in a different position. You know, I'm not trying to make a living doing this. And there's a lot of these young guys that are. And so hearing those words from you who qualified through the 9 opens at the time and, you know, have been crushing on the Elite Series, like, these are things they need to hear. the sacrifices, the expectations. You know, it's fun, right? It's super fun, but it can also be like, it's also obviously grueling moving away from your family. And you move to a strategic location in the United States, man. Like you move to the Mecca of bass fishing, right? Gunnersville is like Charlotte Motor Speedway for NASCAR for bass fishing, right? And so those are things that you decided to do. Do we see a future family for Andrew? You know, are there kids, you know, things like that, you know, and so those are adjustments you'll have to make in your career on the Elite Series and stuff like that. So have you ever thought about this though? I'm sure it goes through all your guys' minds, but if you ever didn't re-qualify for the Elites, what would you do?
I don't know. In my past life as before the Elite Series, I worked as an agricultural consultant. I have a degree in crop science, and that I kind of going through college and fishing college and stuff out west. I kind of set my plan, be like, hey, listen, like get a good job, get a good degree, and I had an awesome job. I was a crop scientist, ag consultant for 8 years until last year. I worked remote for the last 4 or 5 years prior to making the Elites, and awesome job, awesome career. And if I wasn't fishing, that's what I'd be doing. Yeah.
Would you love it, or would you absolutely say, dang it?
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoy the work. But I definitely wouldn't love it as much as fishing for a living, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, I don't think we've had Pete, we haven't had anybody on here that didn't re-qualify for the Elites. Oh, I mean, we've had Maddie. We had Maddie on here, but obviously he is living his best life and he loves what he's doing now. Everybody obviously has different perspective on, you know, fishing at the highest level. But it's got to be like one of the most somber moments ever, you know, to see like maybe a household split up, you know, kind of like what Lee and Caleb saw with Logan leaving and stuff like that. Right. So I'm sure. And man, if I was rolling in a surge squad like that, if me and Pete and a couple of our buddies were on the Elite Series, I'd be like, hey, let's do everything we can to protect each other to stay qualified for the Elites, right? Even, and I'm sure those conversations happen like, hey, dude, like my ass is on the line here. Like I need 5 fish today. Like, can you help? And that's totally within the legal confines of Bassmaster's, you know, bylaws, is being able to share that information. I think that's what makes you guys so powerful. And you see that throughout the Elite Series and all the other national tours. Like these households are powerful, man. And that's the way that I would, I mean, some guys can do it by themselves, man. I know that I would need like a Pete with me to help out, you know, because sometimes stuff just doesn't click, dude. You need help. Right. And I've had those moments where I'm just like, dude, I don't know how to catch fish today. Don't know. You know what I mean?
No, so 100% agree.
We love seeing the surge squad. Pete, I'm going to turn it over to you if you got anything for Andrew. If not,
I'm good, man. Like I said, you led the line of questioning down to exactly what I was thinking about as we traveled through. So as usual, Trey loves to hear himself talk, and
I kind of had
be like that sometimes.
A little bit of that.
I know. But no,
I should be a talk show
appreciate it. We could, right? You could probably do that.
No. Yeah, it'd be like Surge Squad news coming at you.
Yep. Yep.
Andrew, for the young listeners out there, I think we've asked you this before, but now that you have a little bit more time under your belt on the Elite Series, any different pieces of advice for these young guys getting ready to try to make that jump and do what you do?
Yeah, it's I think the biggest thing, one, obviously being on the water and fishing as many bodies of waters as you can, you know, around the country, but as well save money. This is not a cheap sport to be in. You know, financially it's just grueling to do all this. So save as much money as you can. if you're going to try to fish for a living, because it's definitely brutal, especially with fuel prices nowadays. It's not very fun.
Oh, jeez.
You know what I mean? So
you got fuel prices and urchin style baits that we're spending our money on. Like, you got to figure out a way to save a little bit of cash.
You got to save some cash, but no, it's just being on the water and just and being nice and humble. I mean, that's the biggest thing, man. It's just meeting as many people as you can and being a humble person and creating those relationships.
Absolutely, dude.
Heck
Respect goes a long way. The fishing industry is not as big as everybody thinks it is. It's definitely not. A lot of people know everybody. So, Andrew, we appreciate you, man, taking some time as you get ready to come to our neck of the woods. We can't wait to see you up here at the Pacific Tank. It's going to be a different time. It's really going to show its true colors, I believe. Pete's got a lot more experience down there than me, but I think you guys are going to have a fantastic time. Hopefully, everyone keeps their lower units and has a great time, catches a lot of bass, and you don't get an east wind, and you'll be good. So,
are you guys going to make it out to the tournament?
We're gonna try. Yeah, I can't. What are the dates again?
If we make it, it'll only be on that Sunday because
I think it's like the 13th or something like that. So, so it'd be the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th of June.
So
our championship's that Saturday.
Oh, is it? And my
13th.
Daughter has a graduation party on the 14th, so I might be able to make it. I won't be able to make it. Probably not this year. But,
we can go over on the 11th. We
might be able to come down there or come over there on the 11th. How long you guys staying in town for? Are you gonna roll out the day after the derb or what?
Yeah, I think we're rolling out. We may go up north right after. I'm not sure yet.
Oh, to fish up on smallmouth land?
Yeah, it's about that time to get into some cooler weather.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, for real. Well, we got cool little lakes around here that they don't have smallmouth in them, but they fish like smallmouth fisheries. So if you guys get a day or two and you want to go to a pretty cool little lake, just hit us up and we'll show you a lake that you can go and throw nothing but drop shots and minnows and urchin baits, and I guarantee, and top water too, all day long. Clearwater Reservoir, really beautiful place. We always win money there, so it's pretty cool. It's one of our favorite places in Central. I actually just came back from there today. It's about 2 hours from the house, but it's a great place. But yeah, looking forward to you guys coming to the tank, man. Elizabeth City, is it Elizabeth City?
Yep.
Yeah, Elizabeth City. They showed out last year, dude. That crowd was
did,
massive.
man.
We weren't there, but we saw it on TV.
Yeah, no, they were cool. Everyone was super pumped. It was a lot of
dude,
fun.
get ready to have some fun and get some rest and relaxation before we make it up here to North Carolina. Hit us up when you get in town, and hang on the line just for a second as we close this thing out. Appreciate you joining us all the way from Huntersville, Alabama.
Appreciate you having me on, man. It was a blast.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Hang out. Surge Squad, he broke it down for your folks. He broke down the urchin style baits, and he broke down some of the 2026 Bassmaster Elite Series. Andrew Loberg, always a good friend of the show. Thanks you for joining us and helping us continue growing the culture of English, helping anglers one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
Yeah.